Hello and welcome to the sixth edition, the last for this week, on News Central, broadcasting from our Abuja studio. I'm Neo Taigwe, and here are the top stories. President Donald Trump hints at another round of airstrikes if attacks on Nigerian Christians continue. Rivers factional chapter of the All Progressives Congress rejects impeachment process initiated by the State Assembly against Governor Fubara and his deputy. Silent from Ghana authorities as U.S. immigration detains ex-finance minister over visa status. Details in a moment. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that the United States may carry out more airstrikes in Nigeria. The warning follows a Christmas Day strike in northwest Nigeria targeting Daesh militants, which U.S. and Nigerian officials say was a joint counterterrorism operation. Speaking to New York Times, President Trump links the possibility of future strikes to reports of Christians being killed in the area. The U.S. military says the strike was carried out at the request of the Nigerian government and targeted Daesh fighters. Nigerian authorities stressed that the operation was against terrorists, not religion, noting that both Christians and Muslims have been victims of the violence. While President Trump said the strike was meant to be a one-time action, he warned that further attacks could follow if Christians continue to be targeted. As U.S. warplanes continue to operate across global hotspots from Syria to South America, let's take a moment to look back at some of the countries bombed by the United States since 1960 and the lasting impact of decades of military intervention. We'll begin in the 1960s and 70s, the Indochina era. In 1961, the U.S. provided air support during the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba aimed at toppling Fidel Castro. From 1965 to 1973, the strikes over Vietnam saw heavy U.S. bombing during the war through campaigns like Rolling Thunder and Linebacker II. And between 1969 and 1973, Cambodia was secretly bombed under Operation Menu, targeting North Vietnamese and Khmer Rouge forces. In the 1980s and 90s, the U.S. turned its focus to the Middle East and the Balkans. In 1987 and 1988, U.S. strikes hit Iranian targets during Operation Praying Mantis. In 1998, Afghanistan was targeted with cruise missiles after the U.S. embassy bombings in East Africa. In 1999, a U.S. B-2 bomber mistakenly hit the Chinese embassy in Belgrade during the Kosovo conflict. Then came the 2000s through the 2020s, the War on Terror era. From 2001 to 2021, Afghanistan was under a continuous 20-year U.S. air campaign launched after 9/11. In Yemen, drone strikes began in 2002, continuing through 2025, shifting in recent years to target Houthi rebels. Iraq saw major strikes in 2003 during the invasion and again from 2014 as the fight against ISIS escalated. Between 2004 and 2018, Pakistan was hit by covert drone operations in tribal regions. Somalia has faced U.S. airstrikes from 2007 to the present, targeting al-Shabaab. In 2011, the U.S. joined NATO in bombing Libya during the uprising against Muammar Gaddafi. And in Syria, U.S. strikes began in 2014, initially targeting ISIS, then expanding to other militia groups. Most recently, in 2025 and 2026, new operational theaters have emerged. In 2025, the U.S. launched precision strikes on Iran, aiming to degrade nuclear and military capabilities. That same year, in a joint effort with Nigeria, U.S. aircraft struck insurgent strongholds in northwest Nigeria. And in 2026, U.S. forces carried out targeted airstrikes on military assets in Venezuela following regional tensions and threats to energy infrastructure. Now, this timeline reflects how American air power has been used, often controversially across the globe, shaping geopolitics, security, and public opinion for generations. Meanwhile, for villagers in Tangaza and Jabo, Already living under years of bandit terror, the U.S. strikes have brought a new kind of fear. Our correspondent Jamil Mabai reports how these communities now feel caught between the familiar threat on ground and an unseen power from the sky.
I had a loud sound, followed by an explosion.
This American strike indicates the government's failure to protect us.
It started with an unprecedented sound echoed across these landscapes. A sound from the sky, carrying a message from another country, thousands of miles away. An American airstrike hitting what President Donald Trump called a terrorist base.
United States lawmaker says President Donald Trump is focused on ending what he describes as the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria.
I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern.
A rare move in a region full of conflict, but on the ground, the truth is more complicated. In the remote villages of Tangeza and Jabo, in Nigeria's Sokoto state, armed bandits have caused terror for over 10 years. Thousands fled their homes, millions paid a ransom. Now, a new group has made the fear constant. They call themselves Lakurawa, a radical Islamic group linked to ISIS.
Our villages are facing serious threats. The arrival of Lakurawa has disrupted everything, and we are very unhappy.
They come without warning, day or night. They force their strict rules on villages. They collect illegal taxes. They rule with the threat of a gun. An occupation by invisible forces. Armed ghosts, leaving people in permanent fear. The government is missing.
We do not have terrorists here. We have bandits who steal our livestock. They carry sophisticated weapons, which gives them more power. If you refuse to give them your livestock, they kill you.
They do not have a specific time for attacks. They strike during the day or at night. They kidnap people and rustle our cattle. Everyone lives under their control. There is an absence of security personnel here, and they dictate everything.
This is the important local story. For these villagers, the enemy is not a distant idea. It's a cruel, everyday reality. Then, between 10 and 11 at night, a new kind of violence fell from the sky. Panic from not understanding. In a place used to the sound of rifles, this was the signs of war made terrifyingly large.
Between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m., I was inside my house when I had a loud sound, followed by an explosion. It sounded like a machine cutting through wood. People thought it was a plane crash. Jabo shook entirely. People began to debate whether to go and check, while others became afraid.
When morning came, proof hung from the trees, the bent, metal pieces of a modern missile. And the one bomb that did not explode created another danger.
This is the second place where the second strike struck, and this is the point of impact here. Before the impact, just like in the other one, the ground was flat, but after the impact, this is how it looks like now. But one thing to know that the one that landed here did not detonate. It was after, we learned that from locals that 2 days ago, it was until yesterday, that was when the Nigerian military were able to safely remove the bomb here and put it inside a Hilux vehicle where they've taken it back to wherever they are taking it to.
This American strike indicates the government's failure to protect us. We heard that mosques and houses were also destroyed during the attack.
The message from Washington was intended for a terrorist cell. But here, in these villages, the meaning has changed. The warning they hear is this: safety is an illusion. Below them, the familiar terror. Above them, a new, unknown terror. They are trapped in between. In Sokoto for News Central, I am Jamil Mabai.
Still on security concerns, fresh fears are rising as violent attacks across several states have left dozens dead in the past week. In Niger State, residents of Kasuan Daji are demanding a military barracks after a January 3rd bandit attack killed over 30 persons and destroyed the local market. Many have fled, fearing a return of the attackers. The community's closeness to Papiri, where a mass school abduction recently occurred, has raised safety concerns ahead of school resumption on January the 12th. In Katsina State, a fragile peace deal collapsed on Monday night after gunmen attacked 3 communities in Malumfashi local government area, causing widespread damage. In the southwest, 5 National Park Service officers were killed on Tuesday night during a shootout in Oyo State after armed men attacked a park facility in Oloka and escaped. In Benue State, 5 people were also killed on Tuesday by suspected herdsmen in Kwande local government area. Now, the Abuja branch of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, Nigeria, has raised alarm over worsening insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory after one of its members was brutally killed, allegedly by a one-chance criminals. In a strong statement, FIDA Abuja said it is shocked and angered by the murder of the senior lawyer, whose body was reportedly dumped by the roadside after she was abducted by the criminals posing as commercial drivers. The group said the killing goes beyond a personal loss and reflects the growing insecurity in Abuja, a city meant to stand for safety, order, and the rule of law. Now, security in the Federal Capital Territory is under the spotlight as the FCT Police Command intensified its war against a one-chance menace. Now, data from the 2025 crime report reveals that over 82 suspects arrested and 10 commercial vehicles recovered during high-priority intelligence raids. Despite a general 15% drop in FCT crime, these syndicates are becoming more violent, utilizing POS machines for instant digital theft and targeting late-shift workers along the Kubwa Expressway and Garaki corridors. In response, the Anti-One-Chance Squad has launched an extended holiday strategy into early 2026. Authorities are enforcing a strict crackdown on painted taxis and tinted windows to flush out remaining syndicates and restore commuter safety across the capital. Now, moving on to Lagos, the tragedy struck on Olutayo Alao Street in River Valley Estate, Lagos. A mother of 3, simply identified as Ayobami Ayowonle, was allegedly starved to death in front of her children by her husband before fleeing. Neighbors say her body has since been deposited at a mortuary after she was pronounced dead on arrival at a hospital in Olora. Staying in Lagos, and another tragedy, a tomato truck crashed into a car on Otedola Bridge at noonday today, badly damaging 2 vehicles but leaving everyone alive. A family in one car narrowly escaped death. Witnesses have described their survival a miracle. Otedola Bridge is notorious in Lagos for brake failures, truck crashes, and deadly tanker fires almost every year. Just last year, a similar accident nearly killed 3 family members. The drivers are urged to stay cautious as the bridge remains one of the city's most dangerous spots. In the meantime, the federal government has inaugurated a joint implementation committee to drive national digital literacy and oversee the rollout of a private sector-led skills initiative targeting 1 million Nigerians. The inauguration, which took place in Abuja, brought together government stakeholders, private sector partners, and marks a strong public-private partnership expected to complement government efforts in digital inclusion and human capital development. Officials say the initiative aligns with the nation's digital economy policy and the federal government's broader digital transformation agenda with a focus on equipping Nigerians with relevant, functional digital skills for today's economy.
This inauguration represents a significant milestone in the federal government's deliberate and strategic commitment to deepening national digital literacy, strengthening human capacity development, and promoting inclusive digital transformation in line with national development priorities. These landmark resolutions clearly demonstrate that the Clergy Wealth Digital Skills Nigeria initiative is not only timely, but strategically positioned to support national implementation priorities and accelerate the realization of Nigeria's digital literacy targets. The task before this committee is therefore both national in scope and strategic in importance.
For the digital literacy, the target is to reach to 1 million Nigerians across all the 36 states and FCT. And similarly, the Artisan project is also targeted at reaching all of them. A quick one, which they bought into, is the National Sewing Championship, because that's the third edition had already passed. I think over 30 states of the Nigeria had taken part. For some of the encumbrances, there had been issues around scaling up the intervention, making it reachable, affordable, accessible by every other person. So it means you're building functional skills, both technical and non-technical.
We'll take a moment and we'll be back for more stories. Do stay with us. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, here's a recap of our top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump hints at another round of airstrikes if attacks on Nigerian Christians continue. Factional chapter of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State rejects impeachment process initiated by the State Assembly. And silence from Ghana authorities as U.S. immigration detains ex-finance minister over visa status. And on to Rivers State. The Rivers State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has rejected the impeachment move against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu. In a statement by party spokesperson Darlington Nwauju, the APC said it rejects the constitutional independence. It respects the constitutional independence of the House of Assembly, but will not support impeachment against an APC-led government. The party warned lawmakers, especially its members, against external pressure that could destabilize the state and called on the Assembly to drop the process.
To obey the order made.
IYC has called on the Rivers State House of Assembly to suspend any move to impeach Governor Fubara. Now, the IYC says this is born out of a desire to see that things move forward for the states. The president of the Ijo Youth Council, Dr. Alai Theophilus, urged lawmakers to exercise restraint and uphold constitutional processes, advising that concerns over governance be addressed through lawful legislative oversight, including proper scrutiny of alleged extra budgetary expenditures rather than impeachment proceedings.
The IYC Ijo Youth Council condemned in its totality the unwarranted impeachment proceeding initiated against the people governor of Rivers State, the person of Sir Siminalayi Fubara, by the Rivers State Assembly members against the wish of the people of Rivers State. This action, which is likely to put our peaceful Rivers State and the entire Niger Delta into crisis, which is counterproductive to the President Tinubu Renew Hope Agenda 2023. The purported 8th allegation against the governor are entirely empty and frivolous. The peaceful disposition of the governor of the state should not be seen as a weakness, for it is the reason we are experiencing the peace in Rivers State and the entire Niger Delta. The people of Ijaw ethnic nationality have decided to play a decent politics, but let everyone that is interested in crisis be informed that nobody is an island of violence and crisis. For the Yoruba nation has what it takes to mash or tame anybody or group of person who thinks they have monopoly of violence in Rivers State and the Niger Delta region.
Now, let's take a look one more time at the procedures provided by the Constitution to impeach a governor in Nigeria. At least 1/3 of lawmakers will submit a written allegation of gross misconduct to the Speaker. Now, we don't know if that has happened in the Rivers State Assembly. Then the Speaker serves notice on the governor and all members within 7 days. The governor may reply in writing, shared with all lawmakers. Assembly will now vote without debate on whether to investigate, which will require 2/3 majority to proceed. The chief judge of the state will then appoint a seven-member panel to probe the allegations. The panel will investigate for up to 3 months. The governor is allowed to defend himself within that period. The panel submits findings to the assembly, and the allegations must be substantiated in order to continue. Finally, the assembly will now vote to remove the governor, and this again will require 2/3 majority for approval. I'm now being joined by engineer Dr. Mumabo Awara, a former Rivers State governorship candidate of the AAC. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, Rivers State, some will say Rivers State is always in the limelight for some of the most beautiful reasons, politically speaking. Now we're here again. What's going on here? What do you think is happening? Someone said, I mean, using the local parlance, that for the Rivers politician, anywhere Bele face, and there would they go. Is that what it is?
It is not. It is not. You know, Rivers State is a land or is a state where there is no particular godfather that reigns forever, just like Rivers, like Lagos State, like in Kano State, almost like Rivers State. Okay. So one man cannot actually rule and be in power. It was the time of Odili, yo. When Amechi came, his song was written for him. Wike came.
His song was written for him.
So this is former time. So going to say that you want to subdue that person, the forces of Rivers State will not allow you.
But okay, so the lawmakers listed a couple of infringements, what they call
extra budget.
They talked about the demolition of the state assembly. They talked about not willing to the inability to or the unwillingness to present the budget. They talked about the ignoring the Supreme Court judgment that said the 2024 and 2025 budgets were illegal. These were all crimes they said the governor had committed. But someone argues that with that state of emergency that happened, all those crimes were sort of like dealt with by the sole administrator and should not be brought up again as being against the governor. So, and he has just resumed, so they should give him time.
Okay, for budgeting, remember that during the period of the state of emergency, particularly in June, the National Assembly passed 1.4 trillion naira budget for Rivers State.
That's to take care of 2025.
2025. Okay. And I know budgeting year starts the day it was passed till the 1 year of it. That is the life of a budget.
So that means that budget is
still alive.
Okay.
So I know almost all that were in that 2025 budget I presented to the OCO-led assembly was what the National Assembly passed.
Okay.
So far as the law is concerned, and you know, the National Assembly is being empowered in Section 11 of the Constitution to make law for any state where there is a situation.
Yes.
So that situation came, they passed law. They have passed appropriation. So it's that appropriation that is alive. So they should actually know that he's spending out of what has been budgeted for.
So he's not in any way flouting the law.
He's not. I think people should know that. He's not. As assembly members, they're educated. We have people that have PhD, so they should know this, that is part of governance. Except they want to say that they are superior over the National Assembly.
Okay.
If they are not, and the Section 11 says that they are going to, the National Assembly will make a law for a state as if the State Assembly is making that law.
Okay.
So they made that law and it's standing.
So now the 2026 budget, is it that he's gone so far into the year that he needs to be pushed to present the 2026 budget, saying that the 2025 budget is still running?
He's not pushed. What I expected the assembly to do is to call in, let's bring up a new budget to harmonize what is alive, and just go to a new budgeting year. Everybody, no state is the same. So if you see Akwa Ibom pass their own in January, or Enugu pass their own in February, it's not the same with Rivers State. We came out of a particular situation, a peculiar one.
Okay, we'll just take a moment. We'll go on a quick break. We'll come back to this conversation. What's the way forward? Do stay with us. Welcome back. Now, Mr. Wara, the way it is right now, the political situation in Rivers State, some say the governor is not politically savvy, and yet others say he has played a smart one on his benefactor. What do you think?
You're right. You're right. You know,
which one am I right at?
You're right that he has smarted, would I say his boss or his former boss? You know, Wike played this pattern that he is the leader of PDP in Rivers State. The Assembly Speaker moved to APC. He's the highest political office holder. He will become the leader of APC in Rivers State. 001. So the governor has smarted them, has gone. The Constitution now gives him power to hold all the structure. All these things are playing out so that the governor does not have, the Congress is next month, does not take control of all APC structure in Rivers State, number one. Number two, PDP has lost out. The governors are planning to join ADC. Wike does not have anything to bargain with. So he brought up this impeachment. So the president can call him and do political bargaining, so that it will still be relevant. If not, in Rivers State, its relevance is zero. With PDP collapsing, its relevance is zero. So he's just using this to bargain his way to come back. If not, all those things you are talking about has been dealt with. Assembly destruction has been dealt with. There's a provision in the budget that the National Assembly passed to rebuild that assembly, and it's almost completed. The governor said, I will present this budget in this new assembly. By that time, this life of this budget that we passed will have gone out. So these are bargaining tools that Wike is bringing up. You know, when he went to Bonny, he went to Bonny, he was not abusing the governor again, because he felt this one is on. And for you to outsmart Wike, you must always have a news item to subdue his own. If I were the governor, by tomorrow I will have done something that will subdue this impeachment, so that the country will talk about what I do, not what Wike is doing.
But let's leave governor and the FCT minister for a while and look at the lawmakers themselves. You know, they went to court, all the way to Supreme Court, when the first time they allegedly moved parties, and when the Supreme Court said they did not defect. They did not defect. That was the law. The judgment of the Supreme Court. But now they've defected, and someone says they're the ones even flouting the law. They've defected. They should actually lose their seats.
So you know, for their own defection, as PDP is now,
they have grounds.
They have grounds, because you cannot actually say this is the national executive that is on board. They have grounds. But now the funny thing is that you want to impeach your own party governor. APC is, Rivers State is now APC state. The governor is APC, the speaker is APC. You want to impeach him. Why? But now, what's the offense of the deputy governor? Is it that when he impeach her, so that he will become acting governor? Is it what is being played out? But I'm very sure that these things, it will not go to anywhere. Right. And he made a boast to say, if the governor is not impeached, I will resign. Mark today whether he will resign. If he does not resign, please call us so that we can discuss about his
We'll bring you
integrity.
back on this matter. Thank you so much, Engineer Dr. Biokpomabo Awara, former Rivers State governorship candidate AAC. I hope I pronounced your name well.
Yes, you did.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
very
coming.
much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, staying in Rivers State, the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital chapter of the Association of Resident Doctors says it will join the National Association of Resident Doctors NARD in its proposed nationwide strike beginning Monday, June 12th. At a press briefing in Port Harcourt, the association's president outlined persistent welfare challenges facing resident doctors across the country, including prolonged call hours, acute manpower shortages, and a severe depletion of medical equipment and hospital facilities.
The NEC rejects the decisions of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare to redeploy the 5 disengaged resident doctors of the Federal Teaching Hospital, Lokoja, to another federal teaching hospital and demands the immediate and unconditional reinstatement in FTH Lokoja, in line with the recommendation of the duly constituted committee, IPPIS. The NEC demands the immediate implementation and payment of the specialist allowance to eligible colleagues in compliance with the directive issued by the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation to the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission. The NEC demands the immediate reversal of the recategorization of membership certificates by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria and prompt issuance of certificates after Part 1 examination by the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria. The NEC.
Well, it looks like Nigeria's healthcare sector hasn't overcome the plague of recurring strikes by Nigeria's Association of Resident Doctors. Between 2015 and now, there have been a total of 12 strikes, the longest strike lasting about 63 days in 2021. Let's take a look at that timeline. 2015. The year began with a bang as doctors at UCH at the University College Hospital Ibadan embarked on a 108-day strike while their colleagues at Lautech laid down tools for 5 months, citing state-level funding issues and call duty arrears. 2016, a national warning strike, a 7-day strike in June over residency training guidelines and salary relativity concerns. 2017 budget battles continued with a 10-day strike in September, highlighting non-payment of salaries and funding for residency training. 2020, the pandemic brought new challenges. Doctors protested the lack of COVID-19 PPEs and hazard allowance disputes with strikes in June and September. In 2021, a record-breaking 63-day strike from August to October, sparked by massive arrears and non-payment of death-in-service insurance. An earlier 10-day strike in April was just a precursor to the tumult. 2023, the welfare fight continued with a strike from July 26 to August 12, demanding a 200% salary increase. 2025, the latest strike, dubbed TIX 2.0, began on November the 1st, lasted 29 days. Unpaid 25% to 35% arrears and the Lokoja 5 dismissals were the spark. A new strike has been threatened for December the 29th to the 30th, but it looks like it's about to kick in January 12th. This cycle of strikes, MOUs, and broken promises has become all too familiar. The National Association of Resident Doctors are demanding change. But will the government listen? We'll continue to follow up on this developing story. As I said, they're kicking in their strike on January the 12th. Now, to one of our top stories. Ghana former finance minister has been detained in the United States amid investigations into alleged corruption linked to his time in office. U.S. immigration authorities confirmed the detention, citing immigration-related issues as legal processes continue. The former minister, who served under the previous government, is under investigation in Ghana over alleged misuse of public funds and contract deals, claims he has denied. Ghanaian authorities are seeking his return and have reportedly submitted an extradition request. His lawyers say he traveled to the U.S. for medical treatment and is cooperating fully. Officials in Accra are yet to comment. Protests are spreading across the United States over an immigration and customs exercise agent fatally shooting a woman in Minnesota. Demonstrators clashed with the federal officers in Minneapolis following Wednesday's shooting of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, an American citizen and mother of 3. Authorities say protests could spread to cities including Washington, D.C., New York, Seattle, Los Angeles, and Chicago as anger grows. In response, Minneapolis officials canceled school activities for Thursday and Friday over fears that the unrest could worsen.
Honestly, it was disgusting. It makes me ashamed to be part of this country and a part of, the problem here. And so it just made me upset. I mean, these are local families. They're just local people. They're our neighbors. They're our neighborhoods. And it doesn't feel right for ICE to be out here. They shouldn't be here.
This shouldn't be happening. She's an innocent woman that just simply was in the wrong place at the wrong time and murdered. It was a murder. I saw the clip of it, and it didn't have to happen.
Honestly, it was disgusting. It makes me ashamed to be part of this country and a part of,
Now, it's no longer news that the United States has decided to withdraw from 66 international organizations after a foreign policy review ordered by President Donald Trump. Now, the decision, finalized on January 7, 2026, will end U.S. membership and funding for groups the administration says no longer serve American interests. This includes 31 UN-backed or linked bodies and 35 non-UN organizations across areas such as climate, migration, labor, and global governance. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says many of the groups were found to be unnecessary and, in some cases, a risk to U.S. sovereignty. I'm being joined in the studio by Benjamin Bemgong, International Relations and Diplomatic Affairs expert. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Gong.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us virtually is Ejike Okpa, a global affairs analyst. He joins us from Dallas, U.S., Texas. Hello, Ejike.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. And you?
I full ground, like you guys say, Nigeria. Full ground, well.
Okay. All right. Let me start off with you, Ejike. This whole situation, pulling out of 66 organizations, what does that say of the global, how do you say it now, of diplomatic relations and global governance?
Well, look, thank you for having me, and thank you for the question. I don't think American taxpayers should be, supporting and subsidizing the existence of organizations that at the end of the day, there's a bunch of bureaucrats that don't do anything except to shuffle papers, and make recommendations without actually understanding what economic development is. As far as I'm concerned, the UN is no longer a relevant organization. I don't even know when they were relevant. So if I were to have my way, let the UN become an advisory service. If you need whatever it is they're going to recommend for your country, then call upon them and let them do their study and come to you and tell you what to do. But other than that, even this annual jamboree everybody gets together in New York, get their 15 minutes of fame or shame, do it virtually, do it by Zoom. Any president can, take as much time from their home country and say whatever they want to say. But I think I commend Trump taking the bull by the horn and said we're not going to support that. We in America, we don't look to UN for anything. Okay, you look at UN has, I think, one of the longest peacekeeping forces in the history of UN has been in Congo. So since then, what have they done for Congo? What have they done? They've even worsened the situation. So I think it's time we rethink this membership thing. And it's very, disturbing that African nations that constitute the largest contingent of members in UN still go go there and waste their time instead of saying, you know what, let us focus on what matters to us and not climate change.
Okay.
Climate change is a hoot. Yeah, go ahead.
Educate, we'll just take a moment and we'll go on a quick break. When we'll come back, we'll hear from Mr. Gong, who's here in the studio with us. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Benjamin, you heard AGK talk about the reasons why the U.S. needs to, in his words, the UN has lost its relevance. And so that the U.S. decided to move out, it's a fantastic decision.
I think I disagree with my good friend AGK completely. America helped in the creation of the United Nations and some of the agencies you have today. So for America to wake up and start destroying what it helped, in fact, played the leading role in creating and establishing, I think calls to question. That's one. Two, we should also be looking at the powers granted the president of any country, in coming up with executive orders, as it were. Executive orders have the potential to create dictatorship. And I think we should be able to, it has the potency.
There should be a limitation.
Yeah, there must be a limitation. The potency to make a dictator, the potency to create greater friction between the National Assembly or Congress, as it were in the United States, and the president. You know, executive orders carry with it the weight of law. So it shouldn't just be at the whims and caprice of any leader. In fact, for me, this brings to fore the fact that American institutions no longer matter. It's what the president walks up and says or does at any given time that becomes the law. I think we should be looking at that very seriously.
Well, educate, you heard that if the U.S., in other words, Benjamin saying if the U.S. says the UN is irrelevant, has lost its relevance, then by his actions, based on the fact that he's using executive orders, he has just said that the American institutions have somewhat lost their relevance. The president has a final say.
Well, that's a lousy comment. Here's what it is. Because U.S., was instrumental in the formation of the UN. Does not mean if U.S. wants to get out of it, they can get out of it. Just like getting in a marriage. If you want a divorce, you're entitled to get out of it when it's no longer relevant for the relationship. What I'm saying is, of all the 100 and something member nations, what you have to do, look at your own internal structure and your internal resources and gets to build up from within as opposed to looking to UN. What has UN done that has made the world a better place? All this Common Concord is not relevant. America taxpayers, if you look at who makes the most contribution in sustaining UN, it's the US. So if the taxpayers are saying, hey, we want this out of it, we should have the right to pull out of any relationship we have, whether it is, regional or whether it is global. Just like the countries in West Africa that say they no longer want to be part of ECOWAS. Is anybody screaming and jumping up and down?
Okay, but so, if the two of you can weigh in on this. Now, some are arguing that this decision, yes, it might have started out, the investigation might have started out some time back, but this decision coming up now, at a time when America just took out an action in Venezuela that is not, some will say not sanctioned by Congress, points to the fact that America doesn't want to be held accountable by anybody for its actions.
America doesn't have to, for what the president did in Venezuela, he doesn't need the Congress to approve it.
Okay.
But again, there are interpretations, from both sides of it. The thing is, it's medicine after death. We did it. The first time America did something like this was 1901. When the president of Philippines was taken out, we did it to Saddam Hussein. He was out of it. We did it to Emmanuel Noriega. He was out of it. America engineered the exit of Gaddafi. So what I'm saying, you're saying, sovereignty makes sense when you focus on what matters for your country. All these, kumbaya, love one, love everybody, it doesn't work. Even in economics.
Okay.
So barrier to entry is, is what creates value.
But
make yourself valuable and not just look for lose or a relationship.
I want to come back to you to talk about the ICE situation before we go, and we have less than 3 minutes. But what do you think about being held accountable?
I think Trump, from the very first time he was elected into office, the man that was getting out, Obama, had this to say about him, that he's afraid that Trump thinks before, in fact, he doesn't think before he talks, he doesn't think before he acts. The only thing that gives him confidence is that United States institutions will hold back the Trump that he knows. I think that is what is still playing out. Trump, before he thinks, he commits the havoc and leaves the world with it. Front and back, today, tomorrow, because he doesn't think before he says. United Nations agents, if you look at the agencies he has withdrawn the United States from, broadly speaking, I would have loved to comment on three.
Climate change.
Yes, climate change. Trump does not believe in climate change. Even as the whole world is seeing, not just a matter of belief, is seeing the effects of climate change. Trump said, I do not. So literally all the climate change related agencies, United States has withdrawn from. That is the whims and caprices of one person, of a dictator. If you look at the democratic, what shocks me the most, where democratic institutions were also, establishments were also involved. America is the champion of democracy around the world, as it were. And today was, no, we don't want to monitor elections anymore. Yes, ordinarily, that would have been good. But it does not tally. It does not rhyme with the orientation of the United States as we know it.
Okay, Ejike, this last question before we let you go. The matter of ICE shooting Renee Good in Minneapolis, that matter, there are protests already, and there's fear that the protest might spread up to Washington, D.C.
You know, it's very unfortunate anytime people die, you know, at the hands of, law enforcement agencies, you know, whether it was engineered by them or the protester. The point is, don't take the law into your hand. You know, since ICE has been going around to flush America of illegal people, there have been people have taken it upon themselves to defend what shouldn't even be defended. America is a country and we're a nation of laws. Nobody should be violating American laws just because things are hard in their own country. Nigeria kicked out Ghanaians in the 80s. Okay, Ghana must go. So when people are jumping up and down and making comments about what America is supposed to do, Americans are the ones that gave Trump the mandate of 77 million votes to do what he's doing. If nobody likes it, tough luck. What happens? He has 3 more years to go, and we're gonna deal with it. But don't look into the backyard of your neighbor. Take care of your own home. Be responsive to your own people. Again, I don't like climate change. It's a voodoo science. If climate change is bothering you, take care of what happens within your own defined geography, and not just say, "Oh, everybody's come here and rescue me." Heck no. If Nigeria, hold on a second, I spoke at Abuja in October and I told them there are no climate change, there are climate conditions. The sun still rises from the east until the sun rises from the west and sets somewhere else. Then we know there's climate change. All this other science of voodoo, by people who are paid to say what they're supposed to pay, it doesn't rhyme with America. We take care of our own, and if you don't like it, go do something else.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I wish we had more time to have this conversation. Mr. Ejike Opah is a global affairs analyst, and he joined us from Dallas, Texas, USA. But here in the studio, we had Benjamin Bemgong, an international relations and diplomatic affairs expert. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We would bring you back again because there's that visa bond thing that we need to look at. Yeah. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in this evening, and a happy New Year to you. But that's it.
Congratulations for your Abuja news outlet. I think it's a good thing you guys decided to have.
It's good. It's good to know. The next time you're in Nigeria, you will come into the studio, Ejike.
Hey, like I said, food ground well.
All right. That's all on the 6th edition for today. The last for the week. I want to say thank you for watching. But here's a recap of our major stories. We told you that the U.S. president is hinting at another round of airstrikes if attacks on Nigerian Christians continue. The factional chapter of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State is rejecting the impeachment process initiated by the State Assembly against the governor and his deputy. And we also told you that silence from Ghana authorities as U.S. immigration detains ex-finance minister over visa status. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number showing on your screen. Indeed, That's +234 705 500 1212. You can follow us on social media, all social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central TV live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Neota Igbe.